Hello and welcome to Sideways. This week we're talking about the genius ways in which addicts can source their drugs of choice, hide them up from prying eyes and generally give the impression that everything is fine when it patently isn't. We also discuss how, if put to positive use, this imagination, tenacity and creativity can turn lives around in the most remarkable ways. Martin discovers a kindred spirit in a much-loved Christmas film, reminds me of being fat-shamed at my own wedding, and I get grumpy about advent calendars. Resourcefulness.
Good morning. Good morning.
You had all that time to clear your throat. You still didn't get it quite right.
I haven't spoken to anyone today. That's the first words I've uttered.
Don't you do vocal exercises before we get started?
Before we get started? No, I don't really. No. Do you then?
No, but we probably should do. I bet professionals do.
Well, and there's the dividing line, isn't it?
How's your cold anyway?
Yeah, it's pretty good now.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm pretty much back on terra firma. I'm all right.
That's good because you were a bit wobbly there, weren't you, in the midweek?
Yeah, I was. I had that classic catastrophizing syndrome where I definitely had every symptom going that was going to lead me directly to COVID, and now within 24 hours I'll be on a ventilator and probably on. Yeah, needed to get my financial aspects in order.
That would have been selfish because that would have put a bit of a kink in, future episodes, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you'd have had to fly solo, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
which might have been a bit tricky, but it might have been fun.
Well, the dynamic would be different, wouldn't it, if it was just me?
Yeah, it would. It would. Yeah.
Good. Well, I'm glad you're improving.
Thank you very much. I suppose if that did happen, you'd have to be much more resourceful, wouldn't you?
That was clunky.
It was a clunky seggy.
That was a clunky seggy, I think we'd have to say out there.
Well, it's what I want to talk about, though, resourcefulness, which was one of your ideas.
Yeah, well, you got a bit panicky, didn't you, in the week, saying you didn't have anything and you were feeling a bit poorly, and I thought,
I didn't, yeah.
Dear, I'm going to have to dig him out of a hole here.
I know you did. Well, it's I could put that on my gratitude list, couldn't I?
What, me?
No, I couldn't do that because that would inflate your sense of self-worth way higher than it should be. But I think it was, because normally I have a bit of a list of things to do, and it sort of run dry, and I wasn't in a good frame of mind to be proactive in sorting something out. So I was grateful for that. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I keep suggesting depression, but you keep sidestepping that one. I'm not quite sure why, but.
Yeah, I do. It's such a big topic, isn't it? I think it needs to be broken down, but
we don't have to cover every aspect of it.
True.
Does it make you slightly depressed thinking about trying to deal with it?
Really, yeah, because it is there's a wide. I know we've touched on it in the past, haven't we, about how people use it as a throwaway line, saying I've got depression when they're just feeling a little bit down, a little bit blue. So
I'll tell you what I've got this morning. I feel a bit sick. I've drunk too much coffee.
Do you
ever do that? Do you ever do that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
I've slightly OD'd on Java.
I can overindulge in anything, mate. You know me.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's a silly question, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah. So certainly, I've drunk too much coffee and felt lightheaded and stuff. Yeah, that's for sure.
I find that if I drink too much coffee and have a croissant, then I feel really quite poorly.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, you know the answer to that, mate, don't you?
What, don't drink too much coffee and have a croissant?
Exactly, yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah,
I'm glad you're here to put me straight on where I'm going wrong.
Well, sure, you don't need a therapist to sort that one out, really, mate, do you?
True enough.
Basic common sense. But anyway, should we get back to resourcefulness?
Yeah, go on.
Because it was a sort of thing, once I was thinking about it, and it's not something I could really research, the resourcefulness of an addict, really, because it's, I don't know, sort of giving away the tricks of the trade, if you like, and it probably wouldn't be...
Well, like the magic circle.
Like the magic circle. But having said that, I'm pretty much going to do that anyway. So,
yeah. What's the problem with giving away the tricks of the trade? Do you mean you might give people some ideas?
Exactly. But I did mention it in groups yesterday, actually. And some people come up with some cracking stuff, which I didn't. I've had to sort of annotate my notes at a late stage to squeeze them in. But anyway, before we start on resourcefulness, just a couple of points I just want to pick up on.
Yeah, I've got one as well. Go on.
Yeah, I just wanted to pick up on the. We had a little bit of feedback saying you were wrong about haggis, which is.
Yeah, I know. Well, but we shouldn't take all feedback on board, should we?
It was 100% of everyone that talked about haggis was on my side. Yeah,
I expect a lot of people listening to that episode, though, were so with me on it, they didn't even bother to step in. It was like, yeah, well, obviously haggis is disgusting.
Well, no, I thought you'd come back on the 100% business. We had one bit of feedback, positive, and that was it. So it was 100% in my favour.
No, we only had one bit of feedback specifically on the point of haggis, but we also had some other feedback this week, which I think I told you about, didn't I? We had a couple of people write to us and or write to me and say that how much they enjoy it. So if you're thinking of writing in and telling us how much you enjoy it, do, because we really love it.
It is nice, yes.
It makes us feel really good because we don't know, quite often we could be kind of sitting here talking to nobody really.
But just you and I, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What I was reading about, actually, slightly off topic. Well, actually, it is a little bit on topic, not of haggis, but of addiction in general. It was about Macaulay Culkin. Remember him?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Home Alone.
Hope he's good, wasn't he?
I've only seen Home Alone 1.
Yeah, so have I. There's another one, I think, isn't there? Oh, no,
there's three, aren't there? There's three, aren't there?
I don't know. Yeah, I remember the original one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, what about him? He had some addiction problems, didn't he?
Well, that's what led me on to it, really. Because it only came up because there was some sort of feed. I don't know if it was on Facebook or some sort of feed about Macaulay Culkin, because he like me was never given a middle name at birth, and so he decided to put on his website to get people to vote for names, right? And you know how badly that can go wrong. We know.
Yeah.
You know, the Boaty McBoatface one, where they had a poll to name a boat, and that's what the most popular one came up at, which they ignored in the end. But Macaulay Culkin put that on his website, and the most popular one was Macaulay Culkin. So he had to become Macaulay Culkin. which made me chuckle.
That's very good. That's very good.
But when you look into it, he was, he's had drug issues. He was arrested and busted for drugs and that sort of thing. And certainly some of his pictures at that stage of his life looked like he had that gaunt look of someone that was overindulging in certain substances. But
he did. But it's been a while since you likened yourself to someone famous, isn't it?
I'm not likening myself, but I just see what is a fellow addict. You know, what more can I say?
Yeah. Also, neither of you had a middle name.
We didn't. No, that's true. No.
If I could give you a middle name, I'd give you Hank.
Martin Hank Pankhurst. That would be quite good, wouldn't it? Yeah, it's got a certain, it's got a ring to it, isn't it?
Yeah, people could call you Hanky Panky, couldn't they? Then.
Well, they could. Yeah, which is it's an old playground name of mine. Yeah.
Well, it's better than Pillsbury Doughboy, which is mine.
Yeah, that was cruel.
Fat bastard. It was sometimes.
Fat bastard. Well, that was cruel, wasn't it? But I do remember. I remember you at that stage of your life where you were perhaps a little bit more rotund.
Yeah. And, fat, you mean?
Well, yeah. I was just using the same phrase that your vicar used at your wedding.
Did he? I don't even remember that.
No, you remember? He said, "Yes, I remember Graham when he was." Rotund.
That's outrageous, shaming me like that at my own wedding.
He was, but it made me laugh. But Macaulay Culkin, when I just looked into it, just did a little bit of research on it, because he had all the classic sort of areas that we associate with people that potentially going to go forward to become addicts. So he had a difficult upbringing, that's for sure.
Yeah,
and that limelight at such a young age, and then he went on to try and. I don't think we have laws in the UK to do it, but there's laws in America, isn't it, where you can sort of emancipate yourself from your parents. You like divorce your parents.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if that's legal in the UK or not. I haven't heard of anyone doing it, but he had to go through that at a later stage because of his trust fund, where he didn't want fingers being dipped into it.
Yeah.
So he had a troubled childhood. And he had a half sister which died of an overdose.
Right.
which can't have been pleasant. And he had an older sister die in a car crash.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and so he had bereavement on that, and that happens so often. We see that so often in groups where, these sort of they're classic pieces of the jigsaw in the making up of an addict.
Yeah, and if that wasn't bad enough, he was also left at home when his parents went on a European holiday.
Well, exactly. His poor little face. He had to be very resourceful, didn't he, to survive? But anyway, he's turned his life around. The picture was showing him as a Gucci model. So,
Really?
So things have moved on for the lad. You got to take your hat off to that, haven't you?
You could get there, couldn't you?
I could be a Gucci model easy, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent.
But also in the news, there's a man in Australia who broke the world record for the loudest burp this week. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I didn't. No.
Which, 112.4 decibels, which is louder than an electric drill. So I quite liked it. It made me laugh that why the Guinness Book of Records, which, I think it should be sponsored by someone else rather than Guinness. I don't like that. But
no.
It did make me laugh.
Yeah, that's very good. Well, I've got something for you this week. Have you got an advent calendar?
No.
How do you feel about advent calendars?
I'm not. You know me. I'm a bit grinchy when it comes to Christmas, anyway. So I haven't got one myself.
I like personally. I like an advent candle. I used to have an advent candle when I was a kid, and where you just kind of burn down one of the numbers each day. I bought one this year, and it was obviously a very low quality candle because I turned my back for about 5 minutes. It's already the 5th of December. So anyway, the thing about advent calendars, I'm going to be a bit grinchy now because it's really irritated me recently how extravagant advent calendars have become. If you remember when we were kids, you got a paper advent calendar and you'd open the little windows every day. You might get a little present or a little bauble picture of, by the way, not the actual thing.
Just pictures, yeah.
And then you'd have our Lord Jesus Christ, wouldn't you, on the 24th on Christmas Eve, right?
Exactly. Knew where you were.
These days, you can get flipping advent calendar with coffee in it, advent calendar with gin.
Yeah, I've seen that.
There's even a Chanel advent calendar. It's like 600 quid.
Wow.
There was some woman in the Sun the other day who was complaining about the quality of the gifts in a £600 Chanel advent calendar.
But saying that they weren't good enough.
Correct. But here's the one that I thought you'd enjoy. Okay. Apparently, Marks and Spencer's were giving away free advent calendars to people. So obviously it's pretty indiscriminate. It's not self-selecting. Okay. And in those advent calendars they're giving away, they're giving away gin in them.
Oh no.
So what do you think of that?
That's awful. I mean, I didn't know they would be giving them away free. I've seen them with gin in and various alcoholic drinks you can get in them, which again can be very expensive. But giving them away, so no, it's going to fall into the wrong hands. That's awful.
Exactly. I think they're little sample bottles. But obviously, if you've got a problem with alcohol, you're going to be knocking grannies out of the way, elbowing them out of the way for those free advent calendars, aren't you?
You would. And the mini bottle, I'm going to come on to that. But the mini bottle is a favourite of the discerning alcoholic when he's trying to hide stuff up. So no, that's not good.
So that annoyed me. And then after that, I was driving past the big Next up the road there. I noticed there's a Santa hat on the end. They've done a specific Christmas sign. What a bloody waste of money is that? It's ridiculous, isn't it?
It is crazy, mate.
A big neon Santa hat on the end. I mean, it's like that's going to make a big difference to the number of people that are going to shop in Next over Christmas. They could have spent that money more wisely, couldn't they?
They could have done. It's a waste of energy as well, mate. In these the heightened awareness we have around what energy wasting. Yeah, you're right.
So if you're in charge of Next and you're listening to this, spend your money, give it a shelter or someone for people who haven't got any food this Christmas.
Exactly.
And haven't got anywhere to sleep. Disgraceful.
It is disgraceful, mate. Yeah, no, I agree with you totally on that. Anyway,
that's it.
It's a good. I liked you was on your soapbox for a little while there, and there's some very valid points coming out.
Good.
Do you feel better for that?
I feel a bit calmer now. Thanks. That's helped. Yeah.
Good. I feel like a therapist. I feel like on the other side of the desk today.
Yeah. I feel like that's been cathartic for me.
Good man. All right. I'm going to get back to resourcefulness, shall we?
Right.
Otherwise, we're going to drip on for ages.
Yeah.
When I was thinking about this, I sort of split it up into two areas, really, because you've got the two areas you've got to be really resourceful is A, getting the substance of choice,
Yep.
and B, hiding your using and drinking from those around you.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think those of anyone that's tried to buy or has bought drugs from dealers, you have to be very resourceful there. You got to find out where they are, and a lot of people would have a selection of them on their phone of different ones because they're so unreliable.
How do you get into that though? I've often thought about that. I've often thought if someone wants I don't know, some marijuana or something. I mean, you've got to find some way into the loop, haven't you? I know we're getting into tricky areas here.
We are.
I don't want to give out numbers of dealers or anything, but I've often wondered how that the whole thing kind of starts. I wonder if you kind of need to know someone to get you in or something.
You do really. I mean, it's much easier now because the dark web will supply you. You can order your stuff online. You've got a home delivery service, haven't you? But I mean, back in the day, it was word of mouth really. Or you'd go to certain places. You heard that there's people there that were dealing. Certain pubs, as we know, as you and I have been searched coming out of certain pubs in Maidstone in case we had drugs on us. Yeah,
that's true. We have, yeah. That's true, actually, because at college I used to just rely on whoever, if it was magic mushrooms, it was someone who lived in Horseman's Inn.
Well, exactly.
And if it was marijuana, it was Pat Driver skinning up on the back of a Blobwin Pig album.
You knew your market. You knew where you were going for that.
Exactly.
You knew where the suppliers were. It was an unregulated market, and it still is for sure. But it was one that's been very successful. So you have to be quite resourceful in that, and I think resourceful in dealing with the drug. I've known people that have built up relationships with drug dealers, and then have to be quite resourceful when they haven't got money to get hold of the drugs. They have to arrange a sort of a tick system, so they'll pay back, and they'll pay back. Yeah, it ends up that you're paying a little bit more for the drug. There's a premium that gets laid on top, or people end up having to do errands for the drug dealer, and you know where that's going, don't you?
Well, in the end, you'll be getting into supplying yourself,
exactly,
or being a stooge, as it were.
You are, yeah, your mule. Yeah,
a mule, that's it, a mule. Yeah. That's quite Christmassy, actually, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I don't. We better not go down that road. So but also it's not just from dealers. People again have been very resourceful in getting prescription drugs from their doctor, and that's come up quite a lot in groups where they have they've gone into doctor with like false complaints, if you like, so they can get hold of
painkillers.
Yeah, especially the opiate-based ones. We've had people that have been able to extract some of the opiate from have been very resourceful now to get the pure opiate out of the tablets and stuff. So it is, but conning the doctor has been is an age-old trick, and people have been quite successful at it in the past. But it's the road to ruin, and the market in prescription drugs is enormous now. I mean, you can buy anything you like on the black market, and I think getting caught with those sort of drugs the penalties seem to be less. So it's not surprising that the dealers have moved into that area, but so dangerous. We've heard, again, I've known people that have OD'd and have died on prescription drugs. But again, resourceful. Again, the stuff that's come up in I've been listening to people in groups, or getting the money for drugs as well. But I remember there's a girl that used to come a long time ago, many years ago now. I haven't seen her for many years, but she was a very pretty girl and just used to hang around by the train stations and cry. So she'd lost the money for her train. She'd lost her train ticket and any money. And she used to get an enormous amount of money, especially from sort of drunk commuters who were coming home.
Right.
And would give her money, and away she went. She's very successful at it. But again, very resourceful in getting the money she needed for a drug of choice.
Did you ever try that?
Can you imagine? There's one story that just comes to mind, actually, which is slightly it's not actually about how people resourcefully getting hold of it, but there was a story of some people in Maidstone. They're both drug addicts, both heroin addicts, and if you IV drugs for long enough, you end up your veins collapse and that sort of thing, and you end up losing limbs. If they have legs and arms taken off. And there's a story of two people that both had lost an arm, and they would inject each other. No. But that had to be very resourceful to continue their habit
Oh my God.
But it's tricky if you've only got one arm to inject yourself. So yeah, there's injecting each other.
The thing that kind of strikes me when you think about people who are resourceful, you think of people who are imaginative, kind of proactive and persistent.
Yeah.
And that kind of ticks all those boxes, doesn't it? If you've only got one arm, you think, how am I going to get my intravenous drugs in? Well, I know, I'll ask someone else who's only got one arm. You know, we can do it for one another. I mean, that's like the worst and most destructive way of using your resourcefulness.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. But there was one story I remember coming up again a long time ago where this guy used to say that he used to turn to crime to get his money or to get goods that he could then sell on so he could get his drugs. And he said he used to plan these crimes quite meticulously. Mm-hmm. He said it gave him some sort of purpose. He had nothing else in his life apart from drugs, but when he got, it gave him something to think about, and it gave him quite a buzz just doing the planning. So he could pull off a bit of some sort of heist. Yeah, that's the word I was going to use. Yeah, heist to achieve what he needed to do. And he said that was a highlight for him, even though he knew it was bad. It was the buzz of doing it, and then obviously get him the funds to go and get his drugs. That's
another example of exactly the same thing, isn't it? Because if you imagine all of that meticulous planning and thought and everything else that goes into preparing for those crimes, if you imagine all of that effort put to some sort of good, you know, running a small business or something, he'd have been unstoppable.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, and I want to come on to that later on about, you know, diverting that resourcefulness into positive areas. But moving on to, you know, the resourcefulness that people show once they are in the madness and they got to hide up their drink and drugs. And again, there's some stories that came up, which I know we talked about it in the past. I think the guy that used to bury bottles in his garden, so he just have the tip showing that you. I
don't think we have talked about that actually.
Oh, have you not? No, well, he used to have. So. He used to bury them out either in the rockery or actually in the lawn itself. So just the tip, you could just about see the tip. You couldn't see it when the grass was growing, but when he cut the grass, you could just about see the tip. And in these bottles that he'd buried into the lawn, he'd put scotch and vodka. So he'd go and fill them up, and then when he was out there doing it, he'd just with a straw, he'd sip it out. And I think because he had a long garden, he was down the bottom there. I imagine you looked at him, what's he doing, like kissing the grass? But he was down there sucking alcohol out of bottles via a straw. But that's the lengths we go to. You know, I remember doing very similar silly things myself.
It strikes me that if you've done something like that, if you've gone to those sorts of lengths where you've filled up bottles with various spirits and you've buried them in your lawn and you're taking a straw to them when you're out there cutting the lawn, there's almost an extra frisson of excitement, isn't there? It's almost like, surely it's more pleasurable than it would be just sitting and drinking it out of a glass.
Well, it is. It gives it that extra added, a bit of a spark because you're being sneaky, and which is why, you know, hiding them in various places, and so you really, you know, the old saying about, you know, never more than 20 feet away from a rat in the UK or whatever, you know, you want to do the same with alcohol. So you never want to be too far away from it, so you're hiding them everywhere really, and which causes its own issues because you forget where they are. And which is why they end up getting discovered in various places. You know, often, you know, we hear about people that hide them in the lofts and in the garage, which again, that was one of my favourite places, hiding around in the garage amongst tins of paint and that sort of thing. And or in the car, people use their car a lot to hide stuff in. But someone was
dangerous in itself, isn't it?
Well,
in the car.
Yeah, but a lot of people, as I did, were drinking and driving, you know, along. But in the car, you normally have it in a Lucozade bottle or something like that, so that it again deflects away from your issue. But someone was telling his sister how he used to, when he was living at home with his parents, he used to, when he was going out, he'd put a rope out of his bedroom window to the ground. He'd go to the shops and buy stuff, and he'd come back and he'd tie all his hooch and stuff to the rope, and bring the rest of the shopping in, then go up to his bedroom and hoist it up.
Oh my God!
So that's the sort of lengths people will go to get that in, which is bizarre, isn't it? But we were laughing in groups about it, but it's got serious undertones, isn't it? I mean, it shows what a problem it is. And
I mean, if you've really, that's when you've got to be that resourceful, you know, it's really gone much too far.
Yeah, you have. And one of the girls was saying that she separated the lining, or she put a split in the lining in her coat. So she'd go out and do the shopping, and then she'd fill her coat up with bottles of drink. So come home and put in her hubby, would help her unpack unpack the shopping. And her coat was sort of heavily hanging out in the hallway, and she sneaked those away somewhere.
Dear, oh dear.
But you aware, we've had people that hide their stuff in like fish tanks. There's one came up, and this it sort of made me laugh. And in the other thing, on the other hand, I don't know, you do that. But anyway, one guy used to have a couple of hot water bottles in his car. And on the pretense, because he used to tell his wife, look, I get caught short when I'm out driving, so I can use a hot water bottle when I'm driving. I just pop the old fella in there and fill it up and put the top back on and then empty it out later. But what he didn't tell her, that he would also use that to put vodka in, and so you drink. So if the hot water bottle was found in the car and it was a bit sloshy around, he said, "Well, don't touch that, and I haven't emptied that out yet." In fact, it was full of vodka. And so he could then sip from the same one.
Oh dear, oh dear.
and so that was another way of hiding it away. But yeah, see, again, resourceful.
The lengths you'll go to. So drinking vodka out of a pissy hot water bottle.
Yeah. But, the old stories of refilling the cocktail cabinet up with, the gin is filled with half of water, very old one. Yep. I think we talked about it before, where someone used a bit of food dye in there to make it look like there's a bit of old tea to make the whiskey was still full. Yeah. And again, someone was telling us, and I don't know how they did it, but we talked about it last week, I think, or the week before, about the wine boxes. Oh yeah. And how that was it was hidden in plain view, if you like, because you couldn't see how little was left in there. Mm-hmm. Someone had worked out how we could refill those with wine as well. So he was able to get some wine back into it. So it was like, his partner must have thought, this is one of those magical boxes. It never ends.
The magic porridge pot.
Can you imagine that wine box? It must be getting all tatty and all old and that, but it's still full up. It's bizarre. But yeah, I mean, it is really looking at being resourceful in your recovery. And we talk about that. If we go to those lengths, we always use the old phrase. You'd walk you walk 10 miles to score a bit of gear, but sometimes people say, "Oh no, it was a bit windy last night. I didn't go out to a meeting," and that comes up a lot. So it is really using that same mindset to create your own way forward. I mean, someone was telling us about, and I think I'd heard about it at football matches where I think it's quite prevalent up in Scotland, where people would inject their oranges with vodka so they could drink the vodka back out of the orange. Yeah, and again, that level of resourcefulness, turn it around. Start to invest in ways that your recovery can start to take shape. Mm-hmm. I mean, for me was because there's not one route through. There's not one route through, and you have to find your own way, really. But make sure that you do. There's a girl in group yesterday talking about how she's become really interested in reading about it, and reading about how addiction works, and reading other people's stories, etc. And I think just investing in yourself, be resourceful about where you can find your information. Try all the different fellowships, try the peer support groups, but more recently, there's so much more online about it as well. So you don't have to just sit in groups and listen to other people's stories and pick up tips. Go online. There's loads there. Be resourceful where you're getting your information from, and don't limit yourself to one area. Find out what else is available, and also listen to some decent podcasts. There's loads of them out there. But it's bloody hard work being an addict, and you can use if you're prepared to put that hard work in to be an addict. Put that hard work into being a recovering addict, because it makes things considerably easier.
That's the thing, because if you're in active addiction, it is hard work. It will take quite a lot of resourcefulness and imagination and so on. So the one thing you can never say to yourself is that you don't have it in you to put that sort of effort into recovery. You definitely have it in you, because you've demonstrated you've got it in you.
I think it's just really, using your resourcefulness to find the best path for yourself. Well, I've put down here, I've put use that resourcefulness to find the best pat for yourself.
That's your mum. That's your mum.
It's my mum. Postman Pat. We didn't find him.
Well, as I said to you earlier at college, it was Pat Driver who always used to have the marijuana. So I always found the best Pat.
You found your best Pat for what was necessary there. In fact, I talked about Pats. If I was thinking about my favourite Pats, I suppose I could have used, last week we were talking about minor brushes with celebrities.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Pat Jennings picked up my suitcase at the city airport by mistake.
Yeah, that's very good. I don't know who my favourite Pat would be.
I suppose I was just thinking about favourite Pats. In fact, it came up the other day, Pat Benatar. Yeah,
she can't be one of your favourite Pats. I mean, that's proper flipping American rock, really.
Well, I've got a Pat Benatar album, and I've got
Which one?
Crimes of Passion.
Yeah, that's a really good album.
Yeah, it's got Hellers for Children on there, which is one of my favourite tracks ever, and it's wonderful.
I mean, that's so Pat Benatar's in the overlap of our Venn diagram. Then
it is really, but if I right now, if I thought, do you know what, I fancy listening to that album. Yeah, I could go and find it. It'd be under B, and I could go and find it. I'm very grateful that I keep my albums in alphabetical order.
So what you're grateful for this week?
Well, I'm going to go on to that, but yeah, I'm grateful for that. But that's an ongoing great.
Yeah, okay.
Gratitude.
Well, yeah, great. But I could go and find that album downstairs. It might take me a bit longer than it takes you, but so what?
Yeah, well, you'd have to look inside your Led Zepp 4 album to find if it's in there as well, wouldn't you? Not only is it not properly lined up in alphabetical order, it's not even in the right cover, which is just about unforgivable.
I think most of them are in the right sleeves.
Most.
Most of them in the right sleeves, I think. They are.
It's an absolute sin. You should hang your head in shame, young man.
I think It's a Sin is the Pet Shop Boys, isn't it?
Yeah. All right. Anyway, so gratitude. Yeah.
Actually, before we go to gratitude, I should just point out, do you remember last week we talked about, it was last week or the week before, we talked about the Discerning Alcoholics special cocktail, wine and vodka.
Oh, yes.
And we called it the Alcoholic.
Yeah.
One of our listeners came up with an alternative suggestion.
Oh, okay.
Which was Wineka. Which I thought was pretty good.
I think that's quite good, yeah. It is. There's a lot you could do with that.
Yeah.
I'm just
Don't be a Wineka. Have a Wineka.
Yeah, exactly. Unending amount of straplines you could use that in the advertising industry to promote that particular drink.
I expect Diageo have got hold of it now. They'll be onto it probably.
Wow, it's all over, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, gratitude.
Yeah. What have you got on your list?
Oh, you want me to go first? Okay. Right. Well, this week I'm grateful for my dentist.
I think I read your blog about going to the dentist. Yeah.
Well, I've had some root canal surgery this week, which it's not. Have you ever had some? You've heard of that? Ever had?
No, I haven't. No. No.
It's not the best, but I'm very grateful that I've got a very attentive, caring, competent dentist, unlike the dentist I had when I was a kid, which was what put me off going to the dentist.
Yeah.
I used to go to Mrs. Brown, and she was an absolute cow.
They were butchers, weren't they, in the 70s? They were awful people.
Yeah, maybe they were. Mine certainly was. It was horrendous. It's nice not having to be terrified of going to the dentist. So I feel grateful for that this week.
Okay, well, I'm going to move you away from that if we start to get angry about stuff. Onto my. Well, I'm going to visually. I can show you what's on my gratitude list this week.
It's a travel mug.
It's a travel mug, yeah. Absolutely ideal. I love them. I mean, I have one with me all the time. I use it when I go to work, use it in the car, and I use it when I'm at home. It keeps my coffee warm much longer.
Quite surprised you haven't had travel mug on your gratitude list before, because you're right. Too. That is a constant accessory, isn't it, for you?
It is, and it is. I'm grateful for that because I know what I'm like. We were working out when I was at work. We worked on this project. It was 5 months, and I knocked my coffee over 8 times in that period, which is quite a lot of times, really. It's clumsy, isn't it, really? But I hardly lost any coffee because there's a travel mug. So I could just quickly pick it up and it was away. So it wasn't, there's a problem. So not only does it keep your coffee nice and warm for much longer, it's much safer, especially if you're a bit clumsy.
Are you being sponsored by some sort of travel mug company?
I could easily be doing.
Because when you come round here, quite often you ask for your drink in a travel mug, don't you?
I do.
Even when you're inside, you want it in a flipping travel mug.
I do. Yeah, I do. I prefer I just like I don't know. It's the tactility of a travel mug. And
tactility. That's a nice word.
it's all very nice. And
I prefer putting your hot drink in that chalk, that blackboard mug that I can write messages on. I quite enjoy that.
You enjoy it, but you're always very rude and nasty. So I think it puts me ill at ease when I come round to yours. It's an unpleasant experience. I'm a vulnerable addict, and you treat me like that. You should be ashamed.
Spotify playlist.
You move on to that. Well, Resourcefulness was quite a tricky one, really. But there was 2 tracks come up that were called Resourcefulness. One was by a group called Heath and the Checker Shoe Band, which I liked the name of.
They sound a bit barn dancey.
Well, they're sort of I think from what I could make out, they're like a group that promotes Christian values.
It's a gospel band.
Yeah, that sort of thing. But they're promoting that sort of thing. Which also, there was another group called Little Smiley Sheep, did one called Resourcefulness as well.
That sounds like an acid tab.
I don't know what's going on there, mate. It does, doesn't it? But it's, again, absolutely dreadful. But Resourcefulness, when you do put that into Spotify, a lot of it you come up with the sort of meditation and that sort of thing. Yeah, and all sort of a little bit like the Tibetan singing bowl scenario. Because there's one that come up. I didn't put it on the list, but there's one called Forest Chi, so you could get your chi together. It had these noises about just sort of nature in the forests and stuff. But the one I'm putting on, managed to find a track called Hiding Bottles, which I thought was very relevant.
Is it by Bear's Den?
Yes, it is.
It's a
good
cracking track.
It is, yeah. Well, I'd never heard of Bear's Den, but they're a folk rock group from London. So once I found out, I thought, wow, that's it. That's the one. It's a great track.
There's another band then in the overlap.
Yeah, well, I listened to some other Bear's Den. I'd never heard of them before. I'm obviously you're aware of their material, but I wasn't.
I'm fully conversant with their back catalogue.
Yeah, are you? You got plenty of it.
Well,
or you access to it anyway. You don't buy it these days, do we? Really?
I don't. No, that's kind of another story, isn't it? Because I sometimes think that I'm missing out by not actually having a physical album anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, you treat them badly anyway. You don't deserve to have any physical albums. So I think streaming is right up your street. Anyway, that's about it for me, mate.
All right.
Thank you very much.
See you next time.
See you later.
Laters. Bye.
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 Bye. Sideways was created by Graham Landy and Martin Pankhurst. If you want to read more about our work or sort through the extensive archive of past episodes, just visit grahamlandywellbeing.co.uk/sideways-podcast. You can follow us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram at Sideways Podcast, and you can email us if you have a question or if there's something you'd like us to cover. But most of all, we want to tell you how grateful we are that you come and listen, and we ask that if you've enjoyed what you've heard, that you spread the word. And we'll see you next week.